What is going on, all you GBA type people? This is Tom. I'm here bringing you guys my Week 5 match against NumbNexus and his Pittsburgh Pichus. I almost said Paraditaz, but that's in 2 more weeks. Finally trying to, make sure I get the matches up on time. We are going up against Nexus. For any guys who don't know your GBA history, he and I actually played back in, I believe it was Season 2. And that was the days long ago in Oris when basically I believe he ran a Moonblast Mega Gardevoir, and I think I was able to sweep him with a sub Kieran Black, and yeah, it was a fun match. I think I won like 5 or 6-0. So now I think he kind of wants to get his revenge back from way back then, the olden days of the GBA, and we're gonna hop into his team. So Nexus has the capability of bringing Zygarde complete, Celesteela. We have Mega Venusaur, Primarina, Rotom Heat, Uxie, Buzzwole, Zoroark, Mimikyu, Gorbis, and Porygon Z. His Z users being either Celesteela or Mimikyu. So looking at the vast majority of his team, my biggest concerns are both Celesteela and the Mimikyu, mostly because, Mimikyu has been probably one of his best breakers this entire season, and Celesteela defensively and offensively can do a lot to my team. Not only that, but despite having only one rocker being Uxie and probably one defogger being Rotom Heat, a lot of his team does stop my Mega, or my Uber, I should say. Well, both. You look at his team, right? Between the combination of Mega Venusaur, Rotom Heat, Uxie, Buzzwole, and even to an extent Celesteela, he can hard stop, or to an extent stop my Lucario from being effective. Now, I think when we were building, my Mega Lucario was forced into a lot of 4 move slots, no setup type thing, and unfortunately I couldn't really fit enough to ensure that I could take down the Zygarde effectively, and especially not allow Mimikyu to sweep me and things like that. But a lot of his team kind of stopped it, so we didn't decide to bring it this week. I know it was a bit odd, but see what happens. But instead, looking at my team, Latios and Coco do a lot to his team, and even some creative sets, which I'll go into in a second. But what I decided to bring for this week was I decided to bring Tapu Koko, Gliscor, decided to bring Latios, Arachnid, Cloyster, and Mesprit. So we don't see Mega Lucario, we don't see Weavile. Weavile could have been a bring here, but I think between Primarina and Rotom Heat and even Venusaur just kind of stopped it from doing a lot. Knockoff, even like a setup set, not having access to Z moves, just probably wasn't the best here. So kind of left it on the bench. So looking at my team, we're going to start off with a physical attacking, a little bit different than the special attacking set that I've been bringing. Tapu Koko. This is going to be an adamant set because Nexus' speed tiers top out at Scarf Zoroark. So being Scarf, I can bring it down from Jolly to Adamant. Wild Charge, Nature's Madness, Brave Bird, U-Turn. U-Turn is there for a lot of pivot. Nature's Madness is there to kind of get 50% off on things like Rotom, and especially Mega Venusaur, forced to recover or click a move and then be that low. Wild Charge is there just to break Celesteela. A lot of the focus on this team is going to be to hit Celesteela. Brave Bird is there for to 2 a KO a Mega Venusaur potentially on a switch. Next up, we have Latios. Latios is going to be a Recover Calm Mind, Psyshock, and Thunderbolt set. This set is here to basically can set up against a few things, namely like Uxie, the Rotom Heat. We see he does bring Rotom Heat, and to an extent, it can kind of Calm Mind in front of Mega Venusaur, assuming he doesn't get the Toxic or the Sludge Bomb Poison. Psyshock is there to hit the Mega Venusaur, the Rotom Heat. Thunderbolt is there to hit the Primarina, and Z Thunderbolt is there to knock out a potentially defensive Primarina. So now this thing can get obviously KO'd by the Mimikyu, and even can't quite kill the Zygarde outright. But I have other ways to handle that. But for this set, it was a good setup set and something that I definitely could see working very well. So next up, we have a defensive Cloyster. This is going to be my quote-unquote Zygarde and Mimikyu check. Leftovers with Skill Link. Now it is adamant with 20 investment. That's just to ensure that I can knock out a very high HP invested Zygarde with Icicle Spear, and then I could break the disguise and do upwards of like 70 to 92% with Icicle Spear to a Mimikyu. And then the max defense and almost full HP investment is to ensure that I can take +2 Z move, whether it's Twinkle Tackle or Never Ending Nightmare from the Mimikyu, and then I could take either a 1,000 Arrows or an E-Speed +1 from Dragon Dance Zygarde. So Icicle Spear, Spikes are good just for whittling down the team. Rapid Spin to ensure that he can't get rocks up if he brings Uxie, and Protect to kind of reduce or Z-move damage, or to scout for Scarfers. We have a Mesprit. This is more of another defensive wall. This was also here for Celesteela. I believe I can take 2 Heavy Slams. Basically, Heavy Slam would be a 3 at K or a 3 at KO, and my T-Bolt would be I'd be able to be a little bit faster, and it would be able to KO him before the Heavy Slams would KO me. Now, if I'm leech seeded with Celesteela, a little bit of a different story, but also Stealth Rock, my Stealth Rock setter, to whittle away a lot of his team, and then Healing Wish to kind of ensure that Coco or even Latios, Gliscor, or Cloyster stay healthy. So that's kind of a very straightforward set. This could have had Psychic on it for the Venusaur, but my point really with this is to kind of scare out the Venusaur and be able to U-turn to maintain momentum. Next up, we have a Choice Banded Araquanid. This is this kind of went through a few different sets. The first set was a Liquidation, Spiderweb, Protect, Mirror Coat set, and that was to kind of bounce away a Leech Seed, trap it, and then Liquidation the Celesteela to death. Didn't quite, work. It was an idea, but the problem is that I don't think Nexus would have stayed in after he got bounced back on the Leech Seed, and then he would have to stay in, and then I would have to fight through getting Heavy Slammed or potentially flinch with Air Slash, and Liquidation, if he was max defense, would do like a 3 KO, and then it would be playing with a lot of rolls here, a lot of potential that's just not fun. And then the Liquidation, whereas his Choice Banded does over 50% to a max HP, max defense Celesteela. So, and everything else on his team would just get bopped. Like even Primarina, Uxie, defensive Buzzwole, like everything is just getting destroyed by this Araquanid. So Sticky Web is there just because if I could set it and he doesn't bring Rotom Heat, then it's going to stay there, and that eliminates any sort of plus speed, whether it's a Scarfer or a D-Dan Zygarde. Miracle is there to kind of bop, potentially like a special hit, and then Toxic is there just a good mid-round set play. So then finally, the set that I'm actually most proud of that I built this week is the mono-attacking Acrobatics Electric Seed Swords Dance Roost U-Turn Gliscor. Now, U-Turn is there in case he does bring Celesteela. I could pivot out and keep getting in my Topecoco to threaten it out, keep it out until it's weakened or otherwise dead. Now, once Celesteela and even Rotom is taken care of, what I can do is I could set up to +2, even +4, and pretty much against the vast majority of his team outside of like Primarina and Rotom Heat and Celesteela, I can get to +4 and Acrobatics at, once the Electric Seed is taken away. Now, the whole idea with Electric Seed, when we were talking about it, I could have run Yachi, I could have run, Toxigor, but the thing is, it's like I wanted to just find an item that I can get rid of. And kind of like how Hawlucha, functions with Tapu Koko. The idea with the Electric Seed is to get rid of it so that Acrobatics would be at its highest base damage. I could then just kind of pound through a lot of his team. And then even Mimikyu, if its disguise is busted already, it could knock me out. Pretty much break its disguise, and then even just kind of ensure that I am faster, or I'm not faster than it, but I get off damage if I could to pretty much everything else. And this takes advantage of Mega Venusaur because I am Roost Swords Dance. And then U-turns Alex, I just pivot out. So this set, I believe, does not get 2-hit KO'd, even 3-hit KO'd by Zygarde, neutral with 1,000 Arrows. I could pretty much 1v1 it if I play it right, and it takes advantage of Mega Venusaur and even Uxie as well. So that's kind of the idea behind this set. I was actually very proud of this set. I hope it really did work, and we'll see if it does. So that's kind of the team. We'll hop into the match. We see he brings Zoroark, Mega Venusaur, Rotom Heat, Primarina, Mimikyu, and his Zygarde 100. So the team that I'm going to bring, when I looked at his team preview, the first inclination in my mind was to lead off with Tapu Koko because I don't care what he leads off with. I can U-turn out. And if he does what pretty much everyone else does, and they lead off with Zoroark, what I can do is I can pretty much just lead out with Koko. I can, click U-turn. I could break its, its illusion, get off, pretty much kill it almost. Assuming if he's like a minus defense, I would knock it out outright with Adamant U-turn. But even if I don't, I mean, I'd be able to outpace him if he was a Scarfer as well. So that's kind of the idea. And again, Nexus' info is going to be down in the description below, and I want to appreciate and thank him for being so courteous and so easy to work with as well. Same with Deathly and Nate and all them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. He does lead off his Zoroark. Kind of expected this. Knock down the Zoroark pretty much really, really low. And if he has Life Orb here, and he just wanted to try and bluff and force me out, kind of thinking that like his Zygarde was Scarfed, pretty much he would kill himself right here to his own Life Orb damage. But if he is Scarfed, he goes for Sludge Bomb. I didn't think he was going for Dark Pulse or Knockoff or anything like that. Just didn't seem like he would do that against a Fairy type. We see that he probably is Scarfed. What I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to go for a U-turn. I don't see a reason to go for Rocks right off the bat, where I know I could probably get him up later. Nope, actually, I'm going to Hard Switch, expecting him... Oh, actually, yes, I Hard Switched out because if he went for... If he wasn't Scarfed and he just kind of bluffed, right? What I could do is I could take the knockoff. It would be not resisted, but I have no items. I already burnt the Electric Seed, and I could then be able to kind of pivot out or then double again back in the Mesprit to see what he like if he was or what he was going to do. So I'm going to U-turn out into my Arachnid against his Primarina. Now if he was, couldn't really tell what he was here, but after the damage, definitely could tell what he was, and that's a spec set. Now, he's going to do a KO with Moonblast, but that's not on my team that wanted to take this. And unfortunately, I think looking at a lot of my team, Primarina was kind of a hassle. I had very few answers to it, and there wasn't really much that I could bring to pretty much take on the Primarina. So he's going to Hard Swap out, and I really didn't have a reason to over-predict here. I mean, yeah, he could probably go into Rotom, he can go into Venusaur, but pretty much my intention here was just a Wild Charge. In the electric terrain, it's going to do a decent amount of damage to Mega Venusaur. I could have U-turned to maintain momentum, but it really doesn't matter because what I can do is I can go out into Mesprit. I'm not going to be too KO'd by a Sludge Bomb or a Giga Drain. And what I can do is I could threaten him out with a Psychic move because I'm sure he wants to keep his Mega Venusaur healthy because it is one of his best checks to the Koko. And what I can do is get up my Rocks. Now this would force his Rotom to take 25%, if not Hard Swap in now, and be able to defog them away. But like I said, I mean, my intention here was just to pretty much... I know I could take whatever move he's going to go for. I can just get out my Rocks, and then we can just kind of take it from there. So he's going to Hard Swap out, fearing the Psychic move. Excuse me, as I end up getting my Rocks up. He's going to get Rotom in before the Rocks are able to do the 25%. And I'm going to take my, the advantage here, and I'm going to go out into my Latios. Like, Arachnid is down. I probably could have hard swapped into this and get off some big liquidation damage, expecting him to defog. But I think, I don't know, Latios was the best play here. I know Rock's not up on my side. He didn't bring Uxie, so Rocks are never going to be on my side. And he's just going to Volt Switch out. So even if I had Arachnid, it probably would have died there anyway. So I just go into Latios, and I think he ends up bringing in here his Primarina. So now with the Rock's damage and knowing that he is Choice Specs max special attack, even if he's max HP, what I know I can do is I click my Z move, and I just pretty much with Electrium Z I knock him out outright. There's really the only way that he would be able to live this is if he wasn't Specs and he was like a special defensive variant where I probably had to get a +1, but if he was like a special defensive variant, there's no way he would have over 50% to my Arachnid with the Moonblast. So I'm just going to knock him out right here with the Electrium Z, and pretty much Primarina is now gone, which I'm kind of glad. This does put me in a precarious position because this does draw in his Mimikyu. Now, I had two options here. I could either go for the Psyshock, but if he was aggressive and just went right for Shadow Claw, pretty much this puts me in the position where I can't break Rotom Heat easily, or pretty much at all, because like Mesprit resisted hit, Cloyster resisted hit, Arachnid's dead, Latios would be dead or very weakened, Gliscor resisted hit, and Koko, yeah, best I got is to chip it down with the Wild Charge. So I'm going to hard swap into my Cloyster. Now what I could have done here is I have Protect on the set, but my worry was, I don't know, I was worried he'd try and go for +4, and I just went right for a move. I ended up clicking Icicle Spear instead of clicking Protect, whereas if I clicked Protect, instead of taking like upwards of like 73 to like 91%, what I would have taken is like 56% tops. So this Cloyster would have been much, much healthier, and I'd be able to take a vast majority of moves after this in terms of forcing him to go for +4 or going for a Shadow Claw and hoping that he crits because I'm not Battle Armor. I'm Skill Link, obviously, to get the 5 hits from the Icicle Spear. But like I said, this Cloyster was here for the Mimikyu. It's here for the Zygarde, and I think I can kind of make this work because I know that later on in the match, my game plan here is I can pretty much get in Mesprit against Venusaur or Rotom, because I know I'm faster than both. And what I can do is I can Healing Wish. Now I can Healing Wish back into this to make sure that it's healthy enough to be able to take on the Zygarde. So that's kind of the idea I have right now. Doesn't matter if this is low. Doesn't matter if that's going to be low, taking a +2 Shadow Claw right here. I know I can live it because I am at above like the roll percent because he has to be Jolly based on the damage from the Z move. And I'm able to go for an Icicle Spear and I'm going to be able to, hit him twice, knock him out, no problem. So Mimikyu's down, and pretty much 2 of his biggest threats are gone now. We see that he has pretty much Rotom Heat left, a Wall, a Zoroark, which is extremely low, Mega Venusaur, which I know I can take advantage of with my Gliscor, and then we have Zygarde 100. So I am going to Hard Switch out here, as he's probably going to Defog, or he can Volt Switch. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, where I'm going to go back out in Latios. I know I could, at any point, just Roost up. I don't really have to worry about what he's going to Volt Switch into, or whatever sort of damage I'm taking, because if he goes for Overheat, goes for Volt Switch, T-Bolt, doesn't matter. I know I can take both of those resisted hits, so he's going to Hard Swap, Volt Switch out, and he goes out into his Venusaur again. Now, I'm going to Hard Swap out into my Gliscor. And right here, I'm going to put my plans into motion, where I know that I can... I have no item, so Acrobatics is fully boosted, right? He's going to go for Sludge Bomb. I kind of hoped that he poisoned me here, because then I'd have Recovery plus Roost, so I wouldn't really necessarily have to Roost. But that would have been cool if he actually did poison me there. It was kind of the idea of having Toxic Heal without actually having the Toxic Orb. We see that the Giga Drain does damage, but I do have Roost for this very purpose. And I know that, I have the choice here where I could let him go for, could have gone for Roost, but the problem was then if we went for Giga Drain again, then that's super effective, puts me down pretty much where I was. So kind of forced to go for Acrobatics there, because now that he goes into his Zygarde, depending on what he is, if he's Dragon Dance, he has to Dragon Dance twice, and I'd be able to Acrobatics once or twice and be able to 2KO him. But he ends up being a Coil set. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Roost. There was no way I was going to be faster than him. Now, the speed tiers for, obviously Zygarde and Gliscor, they speed tie, right? But the issue is that in order to live certain hits, I had to invest defensively in an HP. So there's no way I would have been able to invest more speed to end up getting to a point where I was able to speed tie. So, you know what? I do what I can, basically. I get to +2, or I get to +4 after I Roost, and he gets to a second Coil. But what I kind of have to do here, and this was kind of, this was a little bit odd, because I know if I get him below 20%, or whatever, the 30%, I know that he gets into his Zygarde 100 form, and I know he has leftovers, but looking at the rolls and what he potentially, could be in terms of his investment, I think that I could probably knock him out with a second Acrobatics. He does go for E-Speed, which pretty much forces me to go for another Acrobatics. I don't knock him out. I think he lives 8 HP or something. And this pretty much kind of forces me to really struggle and otherwise panic, because now that he's in the father form, I'm too low to Roost up. I am slower. And despite, the best laid plans of trying to get this Gliscor to work, which I think it did for the most part, he's going to go for E-Speed. He's going to knock me out. This bypasses Coco Scarf. This, at +2, puts down my Mesprit, Cloyster, and my Tapu Koko. The only thing that could really live is Tapu Koko. Now, what I do here is I go into Tapu Koko, and the only thing I can do is, let's put it this way. Now, he nor I knew this, but when he transformed back into the Zygarde from the camouflaged Zygarde 50 form, he goes back to being ground type. Didn't know that. If I had Dazzling Gleam here instead of Nature's Madness, maybe I could have gotten him down pretty low, but that really wouldn't have mattered because I don't have Ice Shard on my Cloyster. I don't. And even so, he's a +2 defense, so it really doesn't matter. Latios is going to pretty much die. Cloyster's too low to take a hit. I wasn't able to Healing Wish. Now, I could have... The only thing I could have done differently is when it was Gliscor versus Venusaur, what I could have done is U-turn out after the Sludge Bomb, and what I could have done is gotten into my Mesprit, Healing Wish to make sure that Cloyster was healthy, but the problem was that that was probably the best move in hindsight, and it could have, got me back in the Gliscor without really much of an issue, because I would have been able to then probably get a second chance to get the Gliscor poison going when he went for Sludge Bomb or Giga Drain against the Gliscor, but it probably would have still been like the same end result, because at +2 defense and him being like electric type, the Icicle Spear probably wouldn't have mattered. And even probably having Dazzling Gleam over, I believe, Nature's Madness on my Tapu Koko probably would have made a difference. So, as you guys can tell from how I'm explaining this, I am going to lose 3-0. His Zoroark, is going to live in the back. His Rotom Heat is there. Without the Latios, I mean, it doesn't fucking matter. He goes for E-Speed twice, going to knock out Mesper and Cloyster. So, he is going to beat me with a 5-0 Zygarde 100 sweep. I didn't play well here, but I think I can't say I'm upset at myself. I used a set that I thought was very creative. It almost worked, honestly. And, I did what I could to try and put myself in the best positions. Maybe 1 or 2 little changes, but I didn't. Zygarde 100 is weird, man. Like, for a mon that changes its, its whole, like, form, I don't know. I guess it's just weird how it kind of works. So I did my best with the Gliscor. Maybe I could have gotten that roll based on, the damage. There was no way I would have been able to, go for another Roost or go for the... Because I actually didn't even know what coverage move he had, because all I saw was Camouflage and the Coil at that point. Didn't really expect E-Speed. He could have just been 1,000 Arrows and Outrage. So even if I had gone for Roost and knowing that he had, without seeing E-Speed, maybe I could have gotten myself healthy. But even from like the max HP, he did over 50%. So that really wouldn't have mattered. There was no possibility of me getting to +6 for the Acro. So I couldn't have even prevented him from being from 50% to 0. So the roll was the best I could probably do. Like I said, the only thing that I caught probably could have did better was Healing Wish the Cloysters, so that I could live a +2 E-Speed or 1,000 Arrows, because I know I could just based on the defense investment. But even then, he would have had to not be camouflaged. The Icicle Spear would have had to do about 50%, which I don't think that was possible based on the defense and possibly his HP and defense investment on his own. And it just would have been probably a lot closer. The Rotom Heat was still there, so I needed to keep Latios alive to ensure that I could knock that out, especially. And then the Zoroark was still there, so I would need to leave Coco alive. So that would have meant that Cloyster would have been healthy. Probably would have died to a hit from Zoroark. I could have went to Coco and just U-turned. The Rotom Heat would have still been there. So it would have been tough. Definitely would have been tough. I think I did the best that I could. A few things here and there that could have been fixed, but whatever. 3-0 loss puts me back down to 0 after the 5-0 win last week. Hey, I deal out a 5-0, I get a 5-0. You know what? Whatever. That puts his Zygarde up in the running with his Mimikyu for the top 10 kill leaders. And next week we will take on Randy and his Houston Rockets. And then after that we have Tup and the Pittsburgh Pichus. So hopefully we can kind of bust Randy's winning streak and then kind of take on Tup. The last time I took him on was when I first got back in the GBA, and that was Season 6, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If there's anything that you guys see that I could have changed, let me know. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next week.